What's happening, world? B Marsh Boxing, I'm back at it with another one. You know what time it is. One of my favorites. You know what I like to do, man. We here with another one of those fights we didn't get to see. Yes, indeed, this is fights we didn't get to see. Let me take y'all back to 1997. Now, those of y'all who might not be familiar with this series I got, check out my playlist right here on B Marsh Boxing on my channel. Go to fights we didn't get to see. I probably got over 40 fights I've covered of fights we didn't get to see. And like I always say, it's not no mythical matchups, you know what I mean? Like who would win a fight between Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson? Or who would win a fight between, I don't know, Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Eric Morales at 122. Nah, it's not those type. This is a fights that should have happened in a particular time and era in boxing, but for one reason or another, the fights didn't happen. You know what I mean? And that's what we're here to talk about. We about to take you back to 1997, and this is a fight between terrible Terry Norris from Texas, somewhere. I think Lombard, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. All right, versus what's his name? Felix Tito Trinidad, a Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? Now Terry Norris, he finished his career with 47 wins and I believe 9 losses, you know what I mean? He's in the Pro Boxing Hall of Fame, no question about it. Tito Trinidad was 42 and 3 with I believe 35 KOs, okay? And I think Terry Norris, like I said, he had he was 47 wins, 9 losses, and 31 knockouts. You know what I mean? So both guys are in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. You know, these two guys are actually great fighters in their respective weight classes. You know what I mean? Felix Trinidad was actually a champion in how many weight classes? In 3 different weight classes. You know what I mean? He was a champion at 147, unified. He was a champion unified too at 154, and he was a world champion at 160 pounds, WBA strap. You know what I mean? Terry Norris was a unified champion at 154 pounds, held himself a WBC title, and he had himself an IBF title when he beat Paul Vaden. You know what I mean? And that fight actually was personal. You know what I mean? You know, a lot of people don't know the backstory between that fight between Paul Vaden and the man Terry Norris. That fight was personal. You know what I mean? Paul Vaden was messing with Terry Norris' wife, so Terry Norris got the opportunity to fight him in a unification, and he handled his business. But this video is not about Terry Norris and Paul Vaden. This is a fight we didn't get to see. And this fight should have happened in 1997, you know what I mean? Felix Trinidad was supposed to fight the man Terry Norris in 1997. He was supposed to fight him for the WBC title that Terry Norris had at 154 pounds. And remember, at this particular juncture, Tito Felix Trinidad's career in 97, he is the WBC champion. I'm sorry, IBF, excuse me. IBF champion. Thank you, Maurice Block. I just see Maurice Block on the screen right quick, and he reminded me. Tito's first strap, which he defended from like 93 to like 99, was that IBF strap. Okay? So, with that being said, Terry Norris is in a weight class above Tito, and Tito's willing to go up. But the man, what's his name? The man Tito Trinidad wanted this guy in the ring so bad, but the man, what's his name? Terry Norris, he sued Don King. And when he was in litigation with him, that fight didn't happen. And like I said, it was supposed to happen in June of 1997. Terry Norris got out of that fight. and was suing along with his managers, Don King. He's trying to get up out of Don King Promotions. And Felix Trinidad fought in August of 97, and he fought the man, what's his name? Uh, Troy Waters, an Australian guy. A guy actually Tory Norris had knocked out previously, you know what I mean, in devastating fashion, like in 93. So in 97, Tito fights the late minute replacement in August of 97, which is Troy Waters, the, what you call it, the Australian, you know what I mean? And that fight was supposed to be at Madison Square Garden, Felix Trinidad versus Terry Norris, you know what I mean? And that fight didn't happen because the man pulled out of the fight. And he was suing Don King and basically suing Don King because he basically said he didn't agree to the Felix Trinidad fight. And, you know, it really looked like, you know, it was like a duck move, to be honest, you know what I mean? Trying to get up out of the fight with Felix Trinidad. So Felix Trinidad fights Troy Waters in a WBC title eliminator. So all is not lost. The fight can still happen and is still supposed to happen late at the end of the year in 1997, provided Felix Trinidad wins, which he did. He beat Troy Waters. He knocked him out in one round in the WBC title eliminator for the 154-pound strap held by Terry Norris, okay? And then Terry Norris, them fellas, rather than fighting Tito Trinidad, probably would have been a fat-ass payday too, right? Them fellas decided to fight in August of 97. He fought a couple of nobodies, and they were really, what you call it, like tune-up fights, you know what I mean? Those fights, his titles wasn't on the line until December of 97 when he fought the man named Keith Mullings. If anybody knows that fight, yeah, that's where they remember Keith Mullings stopping the man, Terry Norris. And I believe the ninth round, you know what I mean? What's his name? You know, them fellas, Keith Mullings was a Jamaican. And, you know, them fellas, I think, was he in the Army or something? In the American Army? I can't remember, but I do remember he was a Jamaican dude, you know what I mean? And, you know, Terry Norris, that was a big upset when he knocked out the man, he stopped the man, Terry Norris, you know what I mean? So now that fight was a wrap. It was no longer a viable fight that even Felix Trinidad was looking to fight, you know what I mean? Because Felix Trinidad still stayed at 147 pounds, and them fellas kept defending his straps, you know what I mean? Up until the unification with, what's his name? Up until the unification with Oscar De La Hoya, you know what I'm saying? You know, so them fellas, Terry Norris should have taken that fight anytime between 1997, you know what I mean? And in particular, the date was supposed to be in June of 1997, okay? Now, that was the politics of why the fight didn't happen. Terry Norris was going into litigation with Don King, conveniently at the time when Don King is trying to make this big fight with Felix Trinidad and the man Terry Norris. As a matter of fact, I think I have some quotes somewhere of what the man Don King had to say about that situation, you know what I mean? Don King, first and foremost, he called the man, after Trinidad knocked out Troy Waters in the first round, the man Don King, who promoted the Trinidad fight, called the man Terry Norris a coward. And this is what he said, quote, "He's a coward. Terry Norris, the gauntlet has been dropped. Tito Trinidad is standing at your door." End quote. Yo, so them fellas, Terry, of course, them fellas ain't got nothing nice to say about the man Terry Norris, because Don King doesn't have nothing nice to say, because this dude's taking him to court. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to sue him along with his manager, you know what I mean? So that's why, and of course, Don King sees this future Puerto Rican superstar that he has right here in the making, you know what I mean? You check it. So that's what the man had to say about that. So let's get into that's the politics of that. let's get into the fight and what I think would have happened and all that. You know what I mean? Breakdown and prediction time. You know what I mean? You know how these videos go. I give you the politics on why the fight didn't happen, because it's obviously politics that gets involved in these situations, or at least somebody's ducking or scared, right? And then I'm gonna give y'all my breakdown and prediction. Now, the man Felix Trinidad was a tall welterweight. He was a big, strong welterweight, man. It was about 5'11", I'm saying, with a 72-inch reach. You check it. The man Terry Norris was about 5'9" and a half with a 74.5-inch reach. Um, um, I'm sorry, it was about 5'9" with a 68-inch reach. You know what I mean? Terry Norris, about 5'9", 68-inch reach. While the man Felix Trinidad, like I said, was 5'11", 72.5-inch reach. Now, this is a good fight. I don't think it's a mismatch. We've seen Tino Trinidad, what he did in his career as far as going up in weight and carrying up his weight. And at the end of the day, Tito Trinidad was a massive welterweight. This dude was a big dude. Very big man, you know what I mean? Especially at that weight class. You know, I'm not saying he was a weight bully. Nah, he made weight. He made weight well, so I ain't going to go there and say them fellas was a weight bully. But he was a big welterweight, so he came up to 154 pounds, even went up to 160, even fought at like 170 when he fought D-Hop and them fellas, you know what I mean? So, what you call it? Terry Norris was a great junior middleweight. I think I'd consider him at least top 5 greatest junior middleweights of all time, you know what I mean? You know, but he wasn't a big, some would say he was a weight bully. I think those, you know, they used to say he's a weight bully, but those are people talking out the side of their neck, because Terry Norris was a 154-pounder, but many of times he used to weigh in on the scales the day before the fight at 151 pounds, 152, you know what I'm saying? You know? And Terry Norris, like I said, he made that weight comfortable. He stayed at 154 his whole career, you know what I mean? Now, how would this fight play out? Terry Norris was a man, though, who was very talented as far as his offensive attributes and his athleticism, you know what I mean? It's a great fighter who puts his punches together, very quick, you know what I mean? He's the type of guy who is an offensive maestro, you know what I mean? Now, I wouldn't say he's a defensive maestro, but he's a guy who starts off very quick, you know what I mean? Guy who gets knockdowns and knockouts early, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He's the type of guy you got to be on your P's and Q's. And a man like Felix Trinidad is a guy who's a slow starter, you know what I mean? You know, Felix Trinidad, you know, he usually starts off the fight slow. You know what I'm saying? He could get outboxed for the whole fight, really and truly. And, you know, he might just catch you with that big left hook. You know, that's what Felix Trinidad was about, man. His left hook was a devastating weapon in his arsenal, you know what I mean? And I think Terry Norris, if he has any chance to win this fight, I think he'd have to get it popping early, you know what I mean? He'd have to start off early and be very disciplined, you know what I mean? I think the type of fight that he needs to fight is the way he fought Simon Brown in the second fight. In the second fight, where he got a unanimous decision versus the man Simon Brown, after Simon Brown had a big upset. In the first fight, it knocked out Terry Norris in the 4th round with a mean left hook. You know, Simon Brown's patented left hook. You check it. So, Terry Norris, very good offensive fighter. His defense is very leaky, and I don't care what nobody say. I believe them fellas got a leaky chin. He got a China glass chin, you know what I mean? I think his chin, I don't think Terry Norris never lost a fight on points or decision. Nah. His fights always end up, when he loses, it's either by disqualifications and or knockout, you know what I mean, or stoppage. You know what I'm saying? But the way he fought Simon Brown in the second fight, very disciplined fight, fights behind his jab, you know what I mean, put his punches together, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't get reckless. You know what I mean? That's the problem with the man Terry Norris, you know. He gets a little overexcited, you know what I mean? And his like the fight versus, what's that guy's name? The man, Virgin Islands man, the Hawk, Julian Jackson, you know what I mean? You know, he was beating Julian Jackson, but he got careless and a little too overconfident, and he got knocked the hell out. He got knocked out in spectacular fashion. One of the greatest knockouts you shall ever see. Second round knockout, you know. He wasn't disciplined in just 2 rounds, and he ended up paying for it with a mean, devastating knockout. He got put to sleep by Julian Jackson, you know. So Terry Norris, I think the best version of him, you know, the guy who fought fellas like Mugabe, you know, he fought Ray Leonard, you know, beat the hell out of Ray Leonard, but that was an older Ray Leonard, and Ray Leonard also was trying to be great, I guess. You know what I mean? Trying to win a title at 154 pounds, and the man Terry Norris got him, best name on his resume. And you know, Ray Leonard wasn't, of course, he wasn't in his prime in '91. You know what I'm saying? When they fought, you check it, and he retired. He got up out the game, and he ain't come back till 1997. So you know, basically, really and truly, them fellas, Terry Norris put them fellas out to retirement again. You know what I mean? You know, Ray Leonard's retired at least 3 times in boxing, just like Mike has retired at least 3 times in basketball. You know, so I think that's what the man Terry Norris, his best version of him when he fought fellas like John Mugabe. John Mugabe, he knocked him out in 1 round, but you know, the Ray Leonards knocked out Donald Curry. But you know, I think the best version of Tito Trinidad, I'm saying, he's a guy, look, I think Tito Trinidad might be down at least even in the first 4 or 5 rounds in this fight, you know what I mean? And even might hit the canvas in the first half of the fight, maybe once, maybe even twice. But Tito Trinidad has great recuperative powers. I think Tito Trinidad can get off the canvas, and he's going to start wearing the man Terry Norris down. And he's going to start putting pressure on him, you know what I'm saying? Go put them pressure, landing them 1-2s, trying to set up that jab, fighting from a distance, and he's going to wear the man Terry Norris down, and I believe a knockout is imminent. You know what I'm saying? That's just I think, you know, it's like this, right? A guy like Tito Trinidad who has an iron cast jaw. You know what I mean? Really and truly, one of the best chins I've ever seen in boxing, especially how he comes up off the canvas and he comes back and he knocks fellas out, right? And even though Terry Norris is got quick hands, you know what I'm saying, he puts his punches together. I think eventually Tito's gonna catch up to him, you know what I mean? And Tito gonna stop him in probably the 8th or the 9th, between maybe the 10th round. I'll say 10th round. You know what I'm saying? I think Tito Trinidad is just gonna keep applying pressure, wear the man Terry Norris down. Terry Norris is not a very good defensive fighter, neither is Felix Trinidad, but a man who has no chin like Terry Norris versus a guy who has an iron cast chin like Felix Trinidad. You ain't beating that man, Felix Trinidad. And Felix Trinidad wouldn't be small in weight. He was a big welterweight. He could move up. He moved up and beat David Reed at 154 pounds and ruined that man, David Reed. You know what I'm saying? Gold medalist, 1996 Olympics. You know what I'm saying? Terry Norris' best opportunity is to get this man up out of there early. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, he'd have to bang to the body. He'd have to go to unleash all kind of combinations and not give this man any opportunity. But we never seen Felix Trinidad stopped or even, except by B-Hop. And that was later on in their careers. You know what I mean? You check it. I think Felix Trinidad wins this fight by stoppage. You know what I mean? I don't think it goes. In 1997, Terry Norris was on his last legs. The Keith Mullen loss, the loss to the French dude who fought my man, the Panamanian dude, Guillermo Jones. What's that French dude name? Was it Laurent Bundini? Laurent Bundini. Those losses, you know, those were some. Those you could tell he was on his way out. You know what I mean? You know, Terry Norris's last fight, he lost to Dana Rosenblatt, that white dude from Boston, Mass, who used to get into all kinds of shit with Vinny Paz. You know what I mean? From Rhode Island. You know, that was a nice New England rivalry. Two guys who hated each other. But Dana Rosenblatt beat the man, Terry Norris, and actually that was probably the only fight that Terry Norris never lost by KO. I think that one went by the decision, you know what I mean? But Keith Mullins threw the monkey wrench in the game, man, and that's why we never got to see a Felix Trinidad fight versus Terrible Terry Norris in 1997. But it's also due to the fact that the man Terrible Terry Norris was also ducking the fight, and he was using litigation and his managers in the courthouses to get up out the fight, you know what I mean, and suing Don King. And let me say this before I sign out. The man Terry Norris wasted a lot of years of his career in, what was it, was it 95 or something? Because he fought Simon Brown, I believe, 94, right? So like 95 when he was fighting that dude, the Luis Santana dude, that Dominican dude who has 2 victories over Terry Norris, because Terry Norris couldn't keep himself disciplined. He kept hitting the guy after the bell or hitting the guy when the guy, he's already dropped him. He's on the canvas, and then he hits him like how Roy Jones did Montel Griffin, you know what I mean? I'm saying, now look at the Felix Trinidad who came and fought, man, like Fernando Vargas. That guy's going to knock out Terry Norris, man. I'm sorry to say, and you know Terry Norris is Errol Spencer's favorite fighter of all time. I mean, just a little fun fact there, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Well, Terry Norris, you know, my man William Joppy, he said the man Tito Trinidad's gloves were loaded. I don't know. But I do know that a man who has no jaw, no chin versus a man who has a chin, and Felix Trinidad is a very good fighter. Both are Hall of Famers. He's going to knock Terry Norris out. And I said it's going to be probably in the 10th round stoppage by the man Felix Trinidad. B Marsh Boxing, leave your thoughts and comments. Let me know who you guys think going to win this fight. And let me know about in what fashion you think. Who would win this fight and in which fashion? I'll catch you guys on the next one. Please share and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the thumbs up. And check out my playlist, fights we didn't get to see, all right? 1997, just a fight we should have got right here for the WBC strap that Terry Norris held at 154 pounds. B Marsh Boxing, I'm out of here. 1.